Welcome to the Self Love Uncensored Podcast. We are your hosts. I am Vanessa McWilliams,
And I'm Amanda Wozni.
and we are self-proclaimed experts in all things self-love.
Here you'll find uncensored discussions about life, living unapologetically, and becoming our best selves. Welcome to today's episode.
So good. Now that we
Episode
got
number
everything figured out. 12.
What are we?
Are you 12? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, because last time was lucky 11.
Yes, that's right.
It's one of those days today. I feel like I say that every time we record.
I think so too. It's because we spend so much time bullshitting in the beginning that we forget where we're even at. It's terrible.
True.
One day we'll remember to record all of our ramblings and it'll just make a great episode in and of itself.
Right?
We might talk about 67 different things, but we have great conversations and we wasted a full hour.
We did. Yes, we were
supposed to another episode or two recorded already, but here we
could have, right? Well, that's just it. I think because we haven't seen each other in a week, it's just so nice to get on and
2 weeks, because last week we didn't record anything.
Oh yeah, that's right. I worked last week. That's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
No wonder we had so much to talk about.
We need to go back to what we did before, where we pre-scheduled the evening before so we could get all the talking out of the way.
So true, isn't it? So true.
Yes.
Well, I'm excited.
But anyways,
I'm excited for this episode. When we were just chit-chatting about life and all the things, we got to talking about coaches and coaching and all the different things that kind of encompass what a coach is and what a good coach is and what a not so great coach is, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm actually really excited to have this conversation because I feel like, I don't know. The two of us, I think, are really good coaches, toot our own horn.
Yes.
But I think
I feel it segues so good after last week's goal episode too. So if you're ramping up with your goals and then you're oh, what do I do next? I need some more help. This is going to tell you about how to hire a great coach, whether it's Vanessa or myself or not.
Absolutely. Well, that's just it. That's the biggest thing too, I think, as coaches, is knowing we, of course, with your niche and stuff, are going to have a much smaller actual, client base group that we're going to be really well paired with. But I think that was one of the things I think I struggled with at the very beginning of coaching, was thinking that I can save everybody. I'm the coach for everyone. And I think as soon as you start to do anything new in life, that's just it, right? Okay, who can I help? And you're looking in every nook and corner of the internet and all, your friends and your family and all the things. But it's in reality, especially in coaching, when you niche down, there's a very few select people who, depending on your values, and we're going to get into that and everything too, there's so many different things that kind of, I don't know how to even explain it.
Well, it's like picking a partner, right? Not everybody is for you, and that's totally fine. The coaching thing is the same. You need to have somebody that you resonate with, that you can talk to, that you can communicate with, somebody that you trust, somebody that you look up to. It's very similar to picking a significant other, really. Mm-hmm. And odds are your coach is probably going to know as much about you as your significant other anyways, because you're going to deep dive into all that stuff. So I think it's good to cover, like you said, how to pick a coach, what a good coach is. And I think we really touched on something super good when we were chit-chatting earlier, is that what a good coach isn't.
Yeah.
So the things that some people might expect their coach to do for them, or to ways that they would show up for them, are things that don't make a good coach. So we're going to cover all of that kind of stuff. So
absolutely.
Let's dive in.
So let's dive into this. So how to pick a coach. I think it's just so easy, but it's not. When it comes down to it, it's not. It sounds so easy. How to pick a coach, right?
Well, and I mean, we're probably going to have maybe a different perspective than the average person too. We might need to take a road trip back in time, because now we're surrounded by so many people that do this and that are phenomenal at this, right? We're master trainers for Transformation Weekend. So obviously we're part of a coaching group of people that are trained the same way we are. And some of them would be phenomenal coaches for you and I to even hire, right? Mm-hmm. Not just our listeners. And then the people that we use to coach us, the people whose events maybe we attend, books we read that coach us and everything, versus somebody who maybe doesn't know anybody who is a coach. So I think I think that some of the things that we wrote down here are things like choosing somebody who resonates with you. So I think a really great place right now to find these kind of people is probably Instagram over Facebook.
Yes.
I know a lot of people will see coaches online or people that they look up to, mentors, anything like that. A really good place to kind of check them out and their like authenticity and what they offer and everything, I think, is on Instagram. I think it's a little bit more positive of an environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the couple coaches that I do follow on there. I really like watching their stories and getting to really like see the behind the scenes and who they are and how they act and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a really easy way to find somebody that you feel like you have a connection with. Like, you don't have to have met somebody on Instagram to watch one of their videos and be like, dang, I like that girl. Like, right.
Totally.
Like,
totally.
I totally feel like, even if I didn't know you outside of this, like, you're the kind of person whose video I'd watch and I'd be like, damn, like, she would be a good friend to have. Like, if she actually came and said all that stuff to me all the time, like, that would be freaking awesome.
Right.
Right. And that's where you make those connections. So
yeah. And that's just it. I think that one of the main things that's so important to me when I'm looking, not sounds like I'm a predator when I'm looking for coaching clients, but when I'm like, when I have somebody who's interested in working with me as a coaching client, is, do we align? Like, do we have the same values? Not the same, but do we have many of the same values? Do we align with each other? Because I live my life in a very specific, certain way. And I live my life out of a place of love and kindness. And to take somebody on who may not value that as much as me and maybe shows up in the world in a very aggressive way or something like that, like right there, you know that you're not really aligned with each other. That makes it very, very hard. Not to say that you can't have you can't have disagreements over certain things. That's totally completely fair because we're not all the same. But when you're looking for a coach, I think it's so important to ensure that the person who's going to be walking with you through the journey, you're not going to be following this person, because we're going to get into this in a little bit here, but somebody who's really going to kind of walk side by side with you while you're going through the stuff and you're leveling up, or you're just trying to get through something really, really hard. You need to find somebody who you can trust and that has the same aligned values as you, because I think that that's so important. It helps tremendously in the trust factor. It helps tremendously in just the character of the person, knowing that, that person is coming maybe from the same place that you've been already. And I think that that's so, so, so important when you're finding a coach, is find somebody who's done the thing that you need to do. I think that is one of the most important things.
Or is in the process of doing, because that's something that we're going to cover too a little bit later on, which I'll just say it really briefly right now. But like, the person doesn't have to have done all the things. The person doesn't have to be certified or accredited in all of the things. Life experience and the willingness to actually improve yourself, even if you are still on your own journey, you are more than qualified to coach other people on that same journey.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that it's in the fitness industry where I'm trying to put a stakehold into now with clients. There's a really like naive and shallow viewpoint with a lot of people that are already in that industry, that you need to look a certain way in order to be qualified to coach clients. And that's a crock of shit. You don't need to fucking have a six-pack in order to know what you're talking about. You don't need to have a six-pack in order to know how to move your body really well. And you sure as fuck don't need a six-pack in order to teach other people how to lose weight or recompose their body or gain strength or get back functional movement after old age sets in or accidents happen or whatever the case is. Like, it's that one really drives me nuts. So there's no reason why you can't pick somebody who is walking the walk and talks the talk and is doing it at the same time. They're just maybe a few steps ahead of you and know the tools already, and they're employing those tools themselves, and they're making the progress and the change that makes them more than capable of coaching another human through the same process.
110%. I completely agree. And I have to tell you that if I was to walk into a gym, well, I can say this right now. I have walked into a gym. I have worked with a personal trainer before, and it was intimidating as hell watching this woman doing these exercises that she was asking me to do. And she's ripped. And I felt so disconnected. I can tell you that right now. I felt so disconnected because, she hadn't gone through some of the struggles that I had gone through. I remember her making a comment about that she's never been overweight in her life. And here I was like just after having my first baby when I had this experience. And so I was overweight, and just some of the, and she never said anything out of hurt or anything like that, or out of whatever, but just some of the comments that she had made, like I never connected with her. She was a free, I got her because I signed up at the gym for a certain amount of time, and I got certain amount of free gym membership or personal training workouts or whatever. And I always remember, I'll never forget that I just felt so disconnected from her. And that's the thing, like she's probably a very, very great coach. Like she was great for me, but like I said, she didn't have the experience that I did. And so that's the thing, like had I walked into that gym and seen a lady who had more of a body shape like mine, and we were able to say, oh, I have a kid, I had a kid too, I understand the struggle, like that would have made a huge difference for me, just in the sense of like how I showed up for myself. Right. So bless you,
and that's just it. There's nothing wrong with those kind of people. I mean, those are great coaches for, I mean, not all coaches are great coaches, but they could potentially be a great coach for somebody else. They could potentially still be a great coach for somebody who's overweight. Maybe that's really what they want to look like, and therefore they want to be coached with somebody like that. However, don't let your only basis on somebody's ability in order to coach you be their physical appearance, because that is the last thing that you should be worried about.
110%. 110%. And I think that it's like, I think it's like, we go back to this. I think it's so, so important that like you just said, physical bodies doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean shit. I think the number one thing is that the person that you're going to be walking the journey with has the same values as you and aligns with the things that, align with you and the reasons why you want to do the thing. And I think that that's the most important, because when it comes down to it, those are the things that really, truly matter in life outside of even coaching. Right. Like, it doesn't matter.
I think the next place I would look, and I think I put this probably pretty close to the end of the list, not intentionally, but is who coaches your coach? Who does your coach look up to? Who are they mentored by? Who are the people that have helped shaped them into a coach? I think that's really important, because everybody's learned their coaching from somewhere, right? So I think it's important to look ahead of them, or even like if you're interviewing coaches, which is a great thing to do too. Like, don't just feel like you have to pick one and run with it because it's the first one that you saw. Interview people and then ask them, be like, so who coaches you? Like, where did you learn this all from? Who inspires you? Who are your mentors? Who are the people you look up to? Who are the people that you've learned the most from? Who do you align with? Things like that. Right. And I think that in and of itself speaks way more to me than somebody's accreditation, their affiliation, their certification, their license, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's a piece of paper, right? Like, it means as much as a freaking marriage certificate does these days. Like, you don't have to get married to prove that you're in love with somebody. And it's the same thing with a coach. You don't need some fancy piece of paper that says, hey, look, guys, I'm a coach. I got trained with this coaching place. Therefore, I know how to tell you how to do all the things that you need to do in your life.
Yep. And some people are successful with doing it that way. And that's fine. I say that way. That's fine. I'm not on that journey, so I obviously can't say, but like, I think it's, for me, so, so, so important that the person that you're going to be walking the journey with has done the thing that you're trying to do. Right. Like, whether it's fitness for yourself, nutrition for yourself, it's body positivity and self-love for me. Like,
or at the very least has compassion for what you're going to do. Like, I think a really good analogy is a doctor. Like, they go to medical school. Sure. They're trained. They're a physician. They can come in, and I mean, what's one thing that people always talk about is bedside manner, right?
Oh, I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So like, if you come in and the doctor's just like, so what's wrong with you? You can't hear it. You can't see what I'm doing. Obviously, if you're listening to the podcast, if you're watching the video, they're not making eye contact. They're just staring at their computer. They're typing, they're robotic. They're very systematic. They're very disconnected from who you are as a human being.
Yeah.
Right. Versus a doctor that comes in, your family doctor. Hey, Amanda, how's it going? How are the kids? How's everybody? Like, everybody's doing good. Yeah. How have you been doing? Okay. Now what's going on? Tell me what's happening. And they're listening. They're engaged. They're compassionate. They have empathy for what you're going through. Those are two very different experiences, even though they have the same certification, right? Like, they took all the same stuff. one is phenomenal at what they do and people love them and people will continue to come back to them. And the other one, you're like, I don't like you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to tell you about my personal issues that are going on with me. Like, you don't give a shit about who I am. Like, fucking look at me. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and some people might want that. And that's the thing. And that's why it's so important to really figure out who you want to pick as a coach, because some people might not want somebody to be like, how are you? What's going on? They might just want their hour-long session once a week, you know, taken down to half an hour, get rid of the jibber jabber. And this is what happened. And that's okay. Like, there's some people that are very analytical and it's like, that's what they want. Right. Yeah. But I think that that's the most important part about finding a coach, is you really have to find somebody who not someone who's going to, and I think this is a really good distinction to say here, is that you don't want to find somebody who is going to coddle your fears, is going to coddle you into doing the things like it's, you know, we're not your mom. You know what I mean? Like, you have to, we're not going to hold you responsible. We're not going to hold you accountable. Like, we're
not going to hold you while you cry.
You know, like, exactly. Like, you need to find somebody who, what you need, but at the same time, like, a coach's responsibility is to ensure that you're getting and you're learning the tools in order to do the work yourself, not do the work for you. Right. And so that's a really important part about it, is that, we were talking about this earlier, that a lot of times we can take on our clients thinking that we want to get them results, right? Of course, as a coach, you want your clients to get results, right? But you want your clients to get results, not themselves. Get results for your clients, right? And that's the thing. And you have to find somebody who is going to align with your values, but also isn't going to say, oh, it's okay, Amanda, you didn't show up for the call again today. Maybe next week. No, it's like, dude, why aren't you showing up for the call?
Or, okay, you didn't show up. Would you like me to text you at 8 a.m. on Sunday or 8:15? Like, what time do you get out of bed? How can I? No,
you show up for yourself.
They're going to give you a roadmap and they're going to give you a car and they're going to say, get from A to B. Right? Like,
and here's the tools to do it.
Yeah. So I'll show you how to put gas in your tank. I'll show you how to check the air in your tires. I'll show you how to turn it on, show you which one's the gas and the brake. Okay. And then I'll meet you at the end. Totally. And if you need anything, like if you really need something, you can call me and I'll see if I can, right? Like it's, I think that, I think we're kind of conditioned that way as we're raised and brought up, that like we get hugged when we cry and mom's going to put a Band-Aid on our boo-boo when we hurt ourselves. And then at some point we forget that we've grown up and that we're responsible for doing these things for ourselves. And we look to blame some sort of external something or other, person, event, catastrophe, whatever, for our problems, when in reality, we're responsible for our own problems. And a good coach is going to recognize that. They're going to help you figure out what's holding you back. They're going to give you the tools, and then they're going to kind of wait for you to figure things out for yourself. So that's one thing that we have on our a good coach is not list, is a good coach is not someone who is responsible for your success. They're not someone who's going to do the work for you. And if that's what you're expecting, you are going to be paying for nothing and sorely disappointed at the end when you're done with your coach, or you can't afford them anymore, or whatever. And you're still the same person with the same problems and the same goals that aren't happening.
Yeah. Well, and it's so hard because it's like the sense of pride isn't there.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you do the work yourself, you have that sense of pride when you're done, that like, I did the thing.
Yeah.
No one else can say that. A coach can't say that for you. A coach can't, if I was coaching you, I couldn't be like, Amanda did the thing because of me. No.
And a lot of times they can't. Like if I'm coaching somebody in fitness and nutrition, I can't lift the weights for you. That doesn't translate to your body. If I could do that, I'd be fucking loaded right now. Like
I can't put a bathing suit on your body and walk around in it. Like,
no, I can't eat for you. I can't eat the things that you should be eating. Like it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
They'll teach you how to move your body. They'll teach you the foods that you should be eating. And then it's up to you to go out and do it. And whether you do it or not is going to be the thing that contributes to your success.
Yeah. Well,
and I think,
go ahead. I think too, having a really good coach is one who also understands, and it goes right back to alignment, also understands that shit happens, right? I think both of us, in the 11 years that I've been doing personal development work on myself, I can tell you right now, 11 years ago, there's no way I would have thought that I'd be where I am now. Like there's no fucking way, but like to look back and think, yes, I've had a coach this whole time. But I've done the work.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and the sense of pride in that alone is worth more than I've ever spent on any of my personal development stuff. Right. Like,
yeah.
I think it's so important that way.
And that's what makes the work so gratifying too, as a coach, right?
Yes.
Is getting other people to that level in life where, you know, like things start happening and they start progressing, and you see people like go from a shell of a closed off human who had no worth and thought they were incapable to realizing that, holy fuck, I can do all the things that I always wanted to do. It's within me.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes you can figure it out for yourself, and sometimes you need a coach to help you with that.
Well, and that's just it. And I think it's so important that you say that, because I just lost my train of thought. Welcome to my life today. Get tequila. We haven't said that in a really long time. Tequila.
That's our code word for like a redirect in the show.
Yeah. So. If we ever have a brain fart like I usually do.
I just said something super brilliant. Vanessa has no idea why, but I would like it to be noted on the record here that was really brilliant.
Right? So good. We need to
so have, like, another thing a good coach will do is admit when they make mistakes.
Yes. We're not perfect. And that's the biggest thing. I think that's another thing that's so important, is that, and this goes back to the same thing we talked about, is everybody has their own cup of tea, right? Everybody's going to be different. And it can be hard to find a coach that you really jive with and you really like. And there's no shame in starting with somebody that you think that you know, or that you think that you like. And if you just don't jive a couple months down the road or a couple weeks down the road, just to be done with it. Right. And move on to another coach. I know myself, I've had a couple of coaching clients who it sounded really great straight off the bat. And then within a couple months, we realized like, maybe we aren't totally aligned like we thought we were. And it was best that we parted ways, because it was best not only for me, just in the sense of, you know, being able to serve them to the best of my ability, but then for them as well, just feeling like maybe we weren't exactly aligned, and it's okay. Right. It's totally okay.
And I think the really great part of that, so I went through a transition like that last year. It took a few months for me to make the transition from coach to coach in one of my aspects of coaching that I use. And it was really hard. However, I feel like it not only had value for me in clarifying what I needed as a coaching client, but it also gave me a really valuable opportunity to give that coach feedback on how I was feeling on their abilities as a coach. And obviously it's not up to me whether they actually make change with that, right? Like, even though I was a client in that relationship, it was an opportunity for her to learn and grow at the same time. And whether she took that and did anything with it or not is not up to me, but I felt like it was a really good opportunity for me to get super clear with what I was enjoying and what I wasn't enjoying, the things that I felt like were lacking, and potentially make her become a better coach too at the same time, right? Like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with not meshing with somebody. However, don't be afraid to say like, hey, I enjoyed our time together. However, I feel like maybe we aren't the best match. Here's X, Y, and Z of what I thought you did great. Here's ABC of what I didn't think that you did all that great. Take with it, like, whatever you will. And like, I wish you the best to move on. Like, it doesn't have to be a negative breakup experience, but I feel like, and now that I am a coach, like, I feel like that feedback is super important. Like, I'm constantly trying to ask people, like, is there something else that you need from me? Like, are you happy with everything? How are you feeling? How do you feel like my communication is? Like, I want to know that from people, because I want to be the best coach that I can be. And I think that as a client, maybe that can get overlooked, that you have that kind of power as a client, even though you're paying to get taught, you're teaching the other person at the same time too.
Yeah. Well, and I think constructive feedback is so important, and it's so good. I get really worried when I hear people say things along the lines of like, oh, I've done that, I don't need to do that. Like, I've become the best of the best, when they hit that glass ceiling. And I think that's like one thing that I get asked quite often is like, why do I do transformation weekend every year? Why do I invest in doing self-development events every year when I teach the things? I know the things, why am I paying someone else to do it for me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's so important, because we can never stop growing.
No.
Right. Like, I think myself as a coach, if I stopped doing personal development work for like on my own heart and on my own body and in my own mind, if I stopped doing that work and just thought, well, I know everything already, I don't need to get any better. That right there is the moment that I fail as a coach.
Well, and your growth ends.
I think it's so important as a coach that we continue to feed our own mind and we continue to be coached by someone else as well. Because like you said, there's always parts where we could come up short. We're humans, right? We could fail at certain things. And I think the constructive feedback is such an important thing so that coaches can grow too, because we don't know it all, right? No. We only know what we know from what we've experienced that has changed our lives. Yeah. And, trying to help the people coming up behind us. And I think it's very important to keep growing ourselves. So constructive feedback, I think, is great. Constructive criticism, I have an issue with, because that's a little bit of a different connotation, maybe, if that's a word, but constructive feedback, I think, is always welcome. 100%.
Well, and I think what you said about us continuing to do the work too ties back into what I just said, that sometimes, so like the last transformation weekend that we went to, I actually had this reflection after that. I felt like I didn't get much from the coaching that was done to me. I got my experience that I walked away from that with, and how I grew was from the other participants and listening to their stories or interactions that I had with them and experiences that I was able to share. So it isn't always even necessarily that you're going to learn from the person that is teaching, right? Like you have a group coaching thing, and it goes the same for like group fitness classes or anything like that. Sometimes the best part of your experience is somebody else that you're sharing the experience with, and not even the person that you're learning from. So don't feel like you can't learn from everybody everywhere at any point in time. And that includes people that are below you perceived in the journey or life or whatever. Right.
Well, I think that's another really good thing about like a really good hit also when you're looking for a coach, is somebody who's going to want to experience that with you. Yeah. Right. Like, although we're teaching you and we're, not teaching you exactly how to do the things, but we're giving you the tools and teaching you how to use them for you to be able to do the things, to have the openness to walk that journey with you. Because I can tell you right now, had I not had a coach who walked through a lot of the things that I've gone through, there's no way in hell I would have been able to do them on my own. Now, looking back, if I was in the same position right now, or if I was in this position right now and I was confronted with those things, yes, I'd be able to do them because I've had the experience and I've grown my confidence in myself doing the hard things. Yeah. But back then, without that confidence and knowing that I had the ability to do it, there's no way in hell I would have been able to do those things by myself. Yeah. And so I think that's really important when you're choosing a coach, is to choose somebody who not only has done the things that you want to do, but is also actively bettering themselves and still learning themselves. Because I think as teachers and as coaches, we're constantly having to still feed our own minds and there's an endless amount of things to learn. Right. Yes. But we really do have to be open to walking the experience along with that person too. And we're never, I think that's the nice thing about having a coach, is that you just know you're not alone in it. Yeah. And I don't think I could have done the things without having the coach that I've had, because and sometimes you do have to do the things by yourself, and that's really great. And that's really okay. But working with a coach had got me to the point where when she wasn't available to walk through the hard things with me, I had the confidence in myself to do it and take initiative and do the things, knowing that she was still there, but she actually wasn't on the phone or on text message or anything, but she just, was still out there, if that makes sense. Yeah. But I think it's really important, again, to align and have the same values as the person that you're going to be walking the journey with. Yeah. I think it's super important.
And I think, another thing that's important to talk about too is, like people's price in relation to their experience as well. Like some coaches are pretty spendy with what it's going to cost to work with them. However, they have experience that backs up the reason. Like there's a reason why they're asking for that, because if you work with them and you're willing to put a little bit of skin in the game in the form of money, and you're willing to put in the work, like you're going to see results. Yeah. And I think people's experience needs to speak more than their price, probably. And then on the flip side of that too, the really cool thing about the generation that we're living in right now and the technology that's out there, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, podcasts. Like there is so much free content out there from anybody and everybody that you could ever think you could possibly want to learn from. Like, honestly, you could do so much work yourself and make so much progress, probably without even ever hiring somebody. Obviously you're probably going to make more progress if and when you're working with a coach, but like, don't, if you're in a really dire straight situation right now with budget and money and debt and the havoc that COVID has wreaked on the world, and maybe you're not working or whatever, don't let that be the thing that stops you.
No.
Find a way, even if you find a coach, message them, ask them if they have payment plans, ask them if you can, maybe you have some sort of bartering system you can do, something that you can offer to trade. Don't let money be the thing that stops you.
No. Well, and when it comes down to it, go old school, go to your library. You know, like there are so many, if it's open, but even then you can online, if you have the resources to be able to buy a book online, or, you know, there's lots of times I go on Facebook and I say, hey, does anybody have this specific book? Because there's something that I want to read within it, but I, you know, of course don't need it to be able to be on my bookshelf for the rest of my life. But that's just it. Like there's so many things you can learn even through reading and stuff. Tony Robbins has all of his, you know, so many
blogs, websites. Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just it, is if the need is like, if the desire is there that you really want to do the thing, you'll find a way. Like,
and speaking of Tony Robbins, what is it he says? It's your problem isn't your lack of resources, it's your lack of resourcefulness.
Yes.
Right? Like money is not the problem. If you think money is what's holding you back, then you're going to be screwed before you even try and come out of the gate.
It's the belief about the money. 110%.
If this was 1960, then it would obviously be a lot harder. You're going to be limited on who's out there. You're going to be limited on access. But right now, like you literally have the world at your freaking fingertips in your phone. Pick it up. If you want to learn, it is out there. Find a way to access it.
Yeah. And I think it's really important, on that note, when you go out into the technology world and you're trying to find all these different things, is start doing your search there, start looking for coaches who, you know, put it out on
and
Facebook,
then just watch
watch. That's it. And you can, I mean, even the two of us, if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to us on YouTube, you could be like, wow, I really love Amanda, that Vanessa chick, she's a bitch. Like right away, you could even just be starting to migrate to one of us, right? Vanessa's so opinionated. But you know what I mean? Like even then, when you're listening to things, you could start getting interested in Amanda or I, and you could then be like, okay, well now let's, you know, I'm more interested in talking or thinking about Amanda as a coach or Vanessa as a coach, and then go on a social profile and look at who the people are behind the scenes and follow them. And even then, like if you watch either one of our Instagrams, there's so much coaching content that we put out there. Hell, I just went to Chapters or Indigo 2 or 3 days ago and created a TikTok video on my top 5 self-development books that helped me.
And we have a podcast about that.
Right? Exactly. Like there's so much content out there for free, but that's the thing, is you can do a lot of the free things. But when you know that you're ready to level up and you're ready to work one-on-one with somebody, then that's, you know, once you start watching a couple of people, you already start to know and get an idea of who it is that you want to work with. Reach out to them, find out what their deal is, right? We're human.
And the other cool part about that is that even just following those people and having them show up in your feed and stuff is just a cool byproduct of that. Even if you're not actively engaging in it, is you're probably going to start to make little changes without even super realizing what you're doing. Right.
Yep.
So
110%.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, one of the things that you wrote down here that we made notes about is a good coach is not someone who tells you how to fix your life. They are there to teach you the tools to uncover the things to find for yourself. And that's the thing, is like, you can find all these tools online. You can find all these tools in books. You can find all these things, right? A coach is really amazing in the sense of when you're really ready or you're really stuck and you're really ready to do the thing. And you're just, I know for myself, I showed up to my first self-development event. Well, the first year I did, as you know, I got an invitation to come because Aaron was putting it on. And of course I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to come and I'm going to support you because this is amazing. And the second year I showed up because I was sick and tired of the bullshit that I was telling myself. I had realized like, I've had enough. I'm playing really small and I'm ready to do something about it. And I think a lot of people, get to that point where they're just like, what I'm doing isn't working and what I've tried isn't working and I need something more. Right.
Well, and like sometimes we're too scared to take those deep dives ourselves, to ask ourselves the tough questions. And those are the kind of things that a coach is going to push you through. Like they're going to ask those questions of you. They're going to take you to the deep and dark places so you can do the nasty, dirty work that you need to do to be able to get to where it is that you want to go. And I think sometimes that we get so comfortable and so safe in our own little zones that it's really hard for us to take ourselves there. You can read the question and you're going to avoid the fucking hell out of it.
Oh yeah.
Right. Whereas
100%.
if you have somebody asking that question and then listening to your response and then going, okay, but why? Okay, but why? Okay, tell me more about that. Right. It's just going to take you to a whole different level. So there's no reason why you can't do a whole bunch of the work yourself, but you're right. When you're ready to level up and when you're ready to play hardball with your coaching, that's the time to hire somebody.
Yeah. And I think it's super important to, and I can only speak from my own experience, is that the times that I've really leveled up and that I've made really big differences in my life is when I'm holding myself accountable for someone else. And that came out wrong. I'm not holding myself accountable for someone else, but I'm holding myself accountable to someone else. Because when you do have someone that's in your corner, that's going, you can fucking do it. Like you can do it. I'm not going to be the one who picks up the phone and makes a hard phone call. I'm not going to be the one who puts a bathing suit on your body and walks down a beach with you. Like I'm not going to make you do the things, but to know that there's somebody in your corner that's rooting for you and knows that it's going to be okay is so just mentally is so much easier to do the hard things. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love coaching.
Especially, and I feel like that's such a good point because like we talked about this in the goal episode, that it's so common that the people that are closest to you, the people who love you, the people that want to protect you and keep you safe and don't want to see you get hurt, are the people that they're going to keep you playing small and they're not going to push you. They're probably going to freaking shit on everything that you do, not because they don't love you, but because they do love you and they want to protect you and keep you safe. Like I just said, right? Whereas a coach is going to be the kind of person who's, like we said, going to teach you the tools to help you be able to get to the next level. They're not going to do the work for you. They're going to watch you do the work. They're going to tell you how to do the things, maybe a couple of the steps along the way. And then they are going to be hardcore in your corner, loving everything you're doing, pushing you to the next level, cheerleading for you, speaking great words about you and making you realize your true value and your true worth. And then I think we talked about this before too, how that in and of itself can trickle over into the lives of the people that are around you. And then all of a sudden everybody's leveling up because you took a chance and pushed yourself and you didn't just stay small and stay comfortable and stay where those people want to see you stay. Right.
100%. Absolutely. Ditto. So good. So good. I'm just looking to see. Oh, I lost my mouse. I'm just looking to see what other notes we have written down.
I think the only thing we didn't cover is it kind of goes along with the like accreditation certification thing, but if you find a coach and like the only thing that they really offer is like, you know, a course for $9.99, but today it's on sale if you buy it in the next 3 hours and 47 seconds for $299 one time, and it'll automatically be sent to you and yada, yada, yada. And then you get emails like every 12 minutes for the rest of fucking time from them kind of thing to buy more stuff. Like though that it
doesn't sit, that always feels really yucky for me.
Yeah.
I get the online coaching. Like I get it. I do it. I have a group coaching program. I get it.
But it's not a snake oil kind of program, whereas those generally are, right?
Yeah. And I like online courses in the sense that like you can do them on your own, you can do them at your own pace, but that right there for me, and I can only speak for myself. And I'm sure other people, I hope other people kind of are in the same thinking as me, is that when I'm left to my own devices, stuff doesn't get done. It just gets pushed aside and it's not priority, right? Like,
well, and that's literally the point of those kind of courses though. Like you literally hit the nail on the head. They want you to buy it and then
you just don't
and
do
never
it.
come back again. Like
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just like,
or buy it and then you don't see the success, and then they'll email you in 6 months and be like, so did you buy program A and you feel like you're still stuck today? Guess what, Vanessa? Program B is here.
Yeah.
It is regular $19.99. It has got so much more value but today I'm going to give it to you for $99 if you buy it right now. And then you're going to buy it and then you're not going to do it, and then rinse and repeat.
Right. And that's the thing I struggle with is like, full disclosure here, I've thought about doing an online course many, many times, but it's like, every time I go to create, like I have the content, I teach the content. I have the content already and everything is good to go. But like, I really struggle with that because that's the thing is you're not getting the human experience. Like I just, as a coach, I want to see the person on, whether it's in person or safely or on, on Zoom like this. I want to be able to have the human experience with you as you're going through it. Like that for me is the most important thing, is to be able to say, holy fuck, I'm so proud of you. You did the thing. And if you failed, catastrophically during the week, be like, I'm still really proud of you for showing up and trying to do the thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think we need to distinguish too, that like there's, maybe I said course probably isn't the best way to describe it. Online courses, there is totally relevance. There's some that are still fucking snake oil. But there's some that are very much legitimate and worth their money. But as far as like an online course program that like is a substitute for actually hiring a human coach kind of thing, that's where my problem is. Cause I exactly what you're saying. Like you can't write a coaching program that's going to fit a mass group of people. You just can't.
And that's the hard part, is that when I was trying to create my online course, like I do believe in online courses when I know that the person that I'm buying it from, like if I was to buy one from you, I'd be like, fuck yeah, I'm buying Amanda's course because I know you. Right. Yeah. Like I've already connected with you. We have the same values. We have the same, like we're aligned with each other. But if I was just to go on Instagram or Facebook and there was a pop-up that said, buy my online course for $99 and by Michaela something or other. I don't know any Michaelas, so sorry if your name is Michaela, but you know what I mean?
No offense.
For $99 and I bought it, I would really struggle with that, because that's just it, is like, unless you're really niched down for your online course, that I know what I'm struggling with is exactly what you created this course for.
Yeah.
If it's broader than that, the chances of that course really actually helping dwindles. You know what I mean? So that's just it. You really have to do your research.
Yes. Or like a course somewhere where you still have access to that person in some other capacity. Like you have your group coaching program. So if you did a course and somebody from your group coaching program bought it and they're going through the course, they still have an access point to be able to be like, hey, Vanessa, like, love what you're doing here. I'm doing the course. I just had a question, right? Whereas if you just buy one of these random Joe Blow freaking pop-up Instagram sponsored ad kind of things, you're not going to get to email the guy that made it and ask questions, or girl or whatever. Right. Like
I have
here's
two
what
programs.
I wrote, buy it and don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. Like, thanks for your money.
2 programs that I've bought over the past couple of years. One of them was just that it was a program off of one of the, I don't even remember what the platform was called. Anyways, it was on sale for $12.99, regular $99. And I was like, oh, this looks really good. And I opened it and immediately the colors and stuff didn't do it for me. Like I read probably 4 or 5 lines of the first of it and I was like, this is not my human. And I mean, it was only $12, but still that's 2 coffees at Starbucks, right? I was like, fuck, this isn't what I thought this was going to be.
Sometimes it's not even a course. Sometimes it's just like oh, here's my PDF on da-da-da. And you're like, oh, fuck yeah. Da-da-da-da. Bought it on sale, download it, print it, put it in a fancy thing and never look at it again. Right. And like, we're all guilty of that kind of stuff, but you just have to recognize that if that's what you're seeing in somebody that's offering coaching services that you're thinking about hiring, like they really care less about you as a human and they just care about how you're impacting their bank account.
Well, and I think for the sense of like, if somebody was genuinely wanting to help somebody and price points, right? Like if someone wasn't able to hire me for $200 an hour, for instance, but then I was able to create a coaching course for $50 minus the human experience, and because that's what somebody could only afford, as long as the person knows, is familiar with me and is aligned with me and feels good about buying that course, I'm sure that they could do good things with it. Right.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is, when you're just, I'm hesitant when I see something pop up and I don't know who the person is that created it. It's just a course.
Yeah.
That for me, I'm like, okay, I'm wary. I'm very wary. I think it's so important across the board that you know who it is that's creating the content.
Yeah.
And I mean, lots of different people have different opinions on different things. You and I had a great discussion before we hit record, and we have different opinions on different things. And so we can't say like the way that we teach things is the way of, is the only way. We don't believe that at all. There's lots of different ways. And I'm sure things, certain things that we teach aren't the greatest, we're not the is all end all by any means. But I think that that's just, it is really just making sure that you do your due diligence and ensure that the person that you're consuming the content from is somebody who really aligns with you. And I think that is just a staple thing in everything that you do in life, whether it's consuming media, whether it's consuming music, it's consuming the people that you hang out with, right? Like, I think that that's so important. And when it comes down to it, like full circle, when you're choosing a coach, it has to be somebody that you align with. Because that person is now, you're giving them access to consume their content. Right. So we're giving them permission to consume their content. And I think that's very, very important. So I'm not a fan of so-and-so popping up a thing on my Facebook being like $99. That sounds like a steal. And if you can only afford $99, that's fine. Do the thing, but don't, do some due diligence first and figure out who the person is. And
just remember that at the end of the day, like cheapness doesn't often equal greatness, right? So
not all the time.
If you're buying the no-name brand toilet paper, it's probably going to hurt your butthole a little bit. Like, whereas if you buy the Charmin, that's 4 times the price.
Well, and everyone needs to start somewhere, especially as coaches too, right? I know there was a time and a place where we started and, it was cheaper to access us than it was to access the people who mentored us, right? They were more expensive. But that's the thing is you have to start where you can. And even then, if it's something that you don't have the ability to hire a coach, like we said, we've done a whole coaching series on these videos alone in 12, there's so much
and there's
free
just
content
more
out there.
Like there's the flip side of that too, that there's some coaches that are like so ridiculously overpriced that like, that's why you have to do your research, because just because they have a really expensive hourly rate or coaching package doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get any more benefit or value from it either. So
100%.
It's truly more about connection with the person, trusting the person, and making sure that they're somebody that is doing the things that you're looking to do.
And has results, right? I think
some form of results.
Exactly. And is doing,
if you're looking for an entrepreneur coach and you're getting coached from some 18-year-old living in his mom's basement, well, you probably might want to find somebody else.
Exactly. And that's just it. Right. And that's just it, is the results, right? Like, everybody's a work in progress, and that's totally fair. But you definitely have to find somebody who not only breathes life into you, but is able to say that they've done some of the things that you're wanting to do and is actively pursuing and working on doing the things that are later on, right? Like, I'm not perfect. I still worry about what I look like in a bathing suit sometimes when I'm on a beach, right? But then I coach women on putting bathing suits on and going to the beach. Right? Like,
but you know how to do it because of how you feel when you have one on, because you're doing those things.
Exactly. Right. Like, and that's the thing is, even though we're still in our own journeys, and most coaches are, I don't think that there's any coach that I've ever spoken to or that I know that doesn't have imposter syndrome in some form, or some fear of like not doing enough, or some fear of not showing up enough. Like we all have that. It's just, even though in spite of having those fears, we're still showing up and doing as much as we can. Right. So, so good. So good.
That's a good place to wrap it up.
Absolutely. I'll let you do the outro, since I always cut you off and screw it up.
I I swear, Vanessa, we need to add this to our to-do list to get these recorded by somebody else that sounds a lot better than you and I do, so that it can just be on here. But anyways,
yes,
we're so grateful for all of you for listening, for leaving us reviews, tags on social media. We love it when those come in and we get like super giddy and excited and share them back and forth, and it makes our day.
Yeah.
So keep doing that, please. Please be sure to hit subscribe if you want to be reminded when new episodes drop every Monday. Please leave us a review, and just a reminder that you can do that on every episode on Apple Podcasts. So if you like each of our episodes and gained from it, feel free to leave us a 5-star review. It helps us get seen by more people. Yes. And most importantly, please share the episodes with anybody that you think may benefit from our message. We're doing this from our heart and because we really want to help influence people. And we would just love it if you would share the message as much as you can. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and you can see our beautiful faces on YouTube. If you ever have questions or want to reach out, you can find us. Our social media handles will all be below in the description, or you can email us at anytime, selfloveuncensored@gmail.com.
Tequila.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
That is a wrap on episode 12.
We will see you on lucky number 13.
Right? Have to make a good one. Lucky number 13. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, Amanda. Love seeing your face.
Yeah.
Love you. Next one. Bye.
Bye.